Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome for some League of Legends gameplay over here on the Risen channel. Sorry for the slight delay when it came to starting up the games, but as you can see, we're heading into draft rather quickly. I'm going to be your play-by-play caster for the night, Swift Duelist, and I've got Dobimon over here next to me doing some of the color casting. How are you doing, my guy?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. Ready to watch some good League of Legends.
As always, and definitely going to be keeping an eye out for these picks because they decided to get headfirst into draft, and we already see uh the what was their team name again? Hecklers, something like that. Let me just double check. They already started off with an ASOL first pick. Da,
Yeah,
da,
they are
da.
the Conduit Hecklers
The
versus
Conduit Hecklers.
Rocketfellas.
That's what it was. I was like, I remember Conduit, but I just couldn't think of it off the top of my head. But yeah, we already see some pretty interesting picks coming out here in the first phase.
Yeah, definitely. We're on the side of Conduit Hecklers, we see a poke heavy centric bot lane, just trying to scale up. While the Rocketfellas there going straight lane bullies, Lux Caitlyn trying to get an early lead and facilitate the rest of their lanes.
Indeed, I mean, Lux Caitlyn is a pretty priority lane, and then Jin, I feel as though he does pretty well into Caitlyn. I guess they're gonna just try to outpoke each other, but the Anivia had a pretty interesting pick into the ASOL. Have you seen any spicy techs into ASOL recently? Because he's been popping up a lot.
Uh, what really happens in the ASOL is in order to kill him, you got to burst him. He's really weak into other assassins, but it doesn't seem to be Rockefeller's MO here. They're looking to scale with the Anivia and try and maybe just keep even with the ASOL. But we're going to have to hopefully see a really good mid jungle synergy here to keep him down and prevent him from running away with this game.
Without a doubt, because we all know a soul, at least since his recent rework, is just a ticking time bomb waiting to happen. And I definitely don't think Caitlyn and Lux want to find out about that whole situation. But the Rockefellers are already just focusing their bans onto the top side of the map. The Mundo and the Malphite taking away, as well as the Kled banned away by the Hecklers.
Yeah, it looks like they're just trying to create favorable matchups for whatever their players are most comfortable with. Um, I think it also happens to be that the Hecklers seem to have a sub on their top side of the map, so anything to just give him like a good easy lane to go with
Hmm.
would be about the answer. And I think that Rockefellers are also having maybe the same issue. Looking forward to see how it plays up there.
Indeed, definitely is interesting though. I mean, they did save top lane for the last pick on the side of the Rocketfellas here, and they did already throw three bans to the top side of the map. So, a lot of agency or priority in this champ select given over to their top laner.
Yeah, but as you can see with the bands, they're all normal, easy to play, low skill cap champions that don't really require a lot of skill. So we'll see something else out here. Maybe something easy like a Garen or Jax, but I'm hoping something spicy comes out like Warwick or Alawi.
Oh my god. Warwick or Alawi would be kind of insane, but maybe it just kind of depends on what their comp decides to bring out. And we do see a Cho'Gath top coming out here from the Hecklers, synergize here with the Sejuani top. And I mean, it's definitely an interesting pairing. Usually, when you see a Sejuani, you want something more aggressive or something that has at least some auto attack resets. And Cho'Gath, I guess, technically has one of those.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see the Cho'Gath because without a melee champion, the Sejuani would just be stacking that passive up all by herself. Especially since they picked three range carries. But interesting to see the Camille. I think it's a pretty good answer with that true damage. But as long as the Cho'Gath is able to keep her silenced, uh, that'll prohibit any type
Mhm.
of damage we see coming in.
Yeah, definitely, definitely an interesting matchup because we all know that Cho'Gath, for some reason, decided to steal Camille Q and put it as his R. Like, how dare he? But
Right?
but definitely interesting comps coming out from both teams. I mean, I'm very interested to see how the Rockefellers are able to pull off theirs because it definitely seems more like skirmish focused. Like they kind of want to play towards ending this game earlier because the Hecklers do have that ace hole in that Cho'Gath, and these guys are just gonna scale for days.
Yeah, the Hecklers definitely, I think, have a overall better draft, just because they are able to the scale in the ASOL is a winning lane, which will be fine as the Jin and Cho will most likely be pushed back. And that'll give Sejuani some options, at least playing towards the top side of the map where she wants to play, to make sure that the Camille just doesn't run rampant. I don't think the Sejuani is going to have a lot of answers into the Caitlyn Lux, but anything to keep Anivia from scaling, just so the Camille is down. I think the Hecklers have a really good chance here.
It's definitely a side to take. I'm gonna be a little bit of a contrarian here, and I'm gonna side with the Rocketfellas here because I'm gonna put a bit of faith into the Kate Lux lane. Sejuani should be heading down there to kind of alleviate some of the poke and some of the range advantage that Caitlyn Lux has over this bot lane on the Heckler side. And also because I just feel as though that J4 does really well into tanks. I think more so in the meta, he's kind of creeped up after like Maokai, Sejuani, and Amumu um, sort of came to prominence a few patches ago, and I think now he's pretty tough to play against. And considering the Hecklers have a Cho'Gath Sejuani top side of the map, I think it's going to be easy for him to play around that advantage of his.
Oh yeah, for sure he's gonna be bot centric a lot of the time. I'm fully anticipating the full on level two cheese gank bot side of the map. Anything to get that Caitlyn Lux ahead, because that is their win con. Um,
hmm I'd have to agree with you on that one. Like if this Kate Lux isn't able to get up off the ground, then I mean maybe you can hope for Anivia just stalling the game out or Camille being able to one shot like the Jin or the Ash if possible, like on a flank. But I will agree that the Rocketfellas comp will be a bit harder to execute just because like the Hecklers have so many tools at their disposal that realistically they just have to kind of sit back and wait for Asol to do his thing.
yeah, absolutely. Like scaling is the name of the game on their side. Anything they get as much on that Stardust for Aurelion Soul, Infinite Feast stats for Cho'Gath. The Sejuani is just going to be really good with it as well. And the fact that you have two supporting bot laners with the Jin and the Ash makes you say that they're not going to be the carries, and they're putting everything onto the Aurelion Soul.
Yeah, 100% with 1,000%. So if we're the Asol, we're gonna have to be on the lookout because, as you mentioned, Asol notoriously weak early due to
Mm.
his recent rework, and that just kind of gives Anivia free reign to do what she wants in the laning phase, especially at their level 6. And J4 is no slouch when it comes to looking for early ganks. So even though you kind of answered it for yourself in earlier on, I just wanted to get a definitive. Which team do you think is going to win this game out after you've seen both of these drafts and we talked a bit about each?
I'm gonna give the draft advantage over to the Hecklers. I really like what they're doing. They know what they're playing for. They have a ranged spot lane so that they can at least answer the poke of the Caitlyn Lux. I,
hmm
and overall, I just think that they know all in, but on the side of Rocket, you have a lot of all in potential, but then you have the Anivia who just doesn't synergize with the rest of that composition.
Yeah, there's definitely that glaring spot of that Anivia where she's not necessarily a dive champion, but more seems as though like a bandage to try to make up for, oh, we kind of need a mage here, we kind of need some kind of wave clear, and kind of use it as an answer to the Asol. But even with that, I will be taking their side on this game just to see how it plays out because I feel like I have faith in this Kate Lux getting some kind of advantage, J4 doing his thing, and then all that's left is for Camille to dive in and potentially assassinate Billy Willard on this Asol. But with that, we have gone through the draft, we stated our points, and we are getting into a spectator delay. So don't go anywhere as we take this short break for Risen Rampage, and we'll be right back for game one of this best of three series. welcome back, everybody, as we're getting into game one of Risen Rampage. Here we've got the Conduit Hecklers versus the Rocketfellas. Conduit Hecklers over on the blue side and Rocketfellas over on the red side. And now, gonna be seeing some interesting gameplay. Psych, it is just a 5 point.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see it as a 5 point. The Jarvan put in the early ward to get back to do your typical Oracle's rush, but I was kind of hoping to see like these at least one team 5-man straight into bot to get uh, that priority vision. But looking at the summoner spells, they're both just looking to survive. They're not looking to do anything extra. Both opting for defensive summoner spells.
Yeah, that's how you know it is a shaky situation in the bot lane. It could at least be very volatile when both ADCs opt to take cleanse. And one support takes barrier, the other takes heal. Think
Yeah,
you
yeah, absolutely. But double cleanse makes sense. There's a lot of CC on the side of Conduit and Rockefeller. You got the Ash ult, you have the Lux Q, you are able to everything else in there as well. But the typical poke Ash using that, you want to trade early and fast, utilizing the effect of that barrier. But it looks like that summoner spell is going to be useless this match as they're getting zoned completely off the wave. May even be down experience at this point. I think they might have lost one minion out of it. So Rockefeller definitely going to get that early level 2 advantage. Probably an early kill at this point.
Yeah, it's very much likely. I mean, there's no heal available on the Jhin. His only saving grace is the fact that he does have cleanse in this lane. So even if he gets hit by binding level 2, it could be worse. A nice trading coming out here from Messiah, but also a gank coming into the top lane from Cherix here. 2 camps in the top lane, but does get the flash blown out of Feathers and Fur here. Do see Sejuani looking in for a gank. Galata stepping in. Ruby ADC stepping in for the auto attack, force the flash, still gets followed by Glada, able to get the stun. Cleanse comes out and the binding keeps them alive just barely with no HP left to spare. Ruby probably going to be forced to base, but hasn't.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Lived with 50 HP, 2 auto attacks would have done really good right there. Really good on the side of Conduit. They didn't burn a single summoner spell in that chase, and they burned both of theirs on Rocket's side. Here in the mid lane, you're able to see the beauty of Acel, just able to just walk away, not having to burn any of those summoners.
Ooh, a whole fight taken out here. Cherix still level 2, unable to face Glada there. Got the level advantage up on him. But definitely showing what Cherix wants to do. He's just trying to get as many gang sauce as he can. Hasn't even hit level 3 quite yet.
Yeah, what's really curious is the fact that he hasn't able to do it, and it looks like he's gonna go topside scuttle to get some vision prio. But here we go, Glada just counter jungling, maybe even taking away a buff. Let's see if Cherix is able to recognize what's happening.
Binding does land. There's a bit more chip damage given out from this Kate Lux. Oh, and a gank up on the top lane. I don't think connected, but we do see Cherix here. He is level 3. Does get the slow, gets the knock up on a flashless Feathers and Fur. Cho'Gath gets ignited, make that the second Q, and that's first blood going over to CS Aphelios and the Rocketfellas.
This is exactly what Rocket needs in order to win this game. If they're able to just run away with the Camille, she'll be able to split push and then answer any team fight with that TP and just delete one of these squishy bot laners.
Yeah, definitely going to have to keep on the lookout for that. I mean, with the Camille, as you mentioned, her whole objective of this game is going to just try to assassinate one of their squishies, but definitely going to have to get to the later stages of the game for that to happen. Also, just a lot of poking and fighting happening on in the bot lane. Oh, another binding lands, make that the E and the Q, but there's just not enough damage coming out from them.
One auto, that's all it would have taken. Too bad Rocket didn't have those summoners very good, that able to burn him out. But here we go, Cherix coming in for the lane gang. I don't think they're gonna do anything except able to answer the Sedge, but 2v2 Sedge Jhin doesn't win the Caitlyn Lux, so I would back off here. Smart move, honestly, in hindsight, because the J4 is just waiting in the darkness.
Yeah, J4 is just kind of sleeping around, hoping to get some kind of ganks, but One may even ask, is he waiting for too much? And yet another electrocute trade coming out there from Messiah, putting in some work. But speaking of CS, I was going to bring up, both Messiah and Cherix are just down CS in their respective matchups.
Yeah, the mid jungle is definitely going to be key here. If your scaling champions are ahead early, it's really going to be hard as the opposing team later. Uh, and jungle is the only role I know in the entire game where you can AFK in a
Ooh,
bush
nice
and
flash coming out.
not lose the game. So
Indeed.
he was in there for 2 minutes. He's only gotten 3 camps. He's down level, stole a lot of experience, at least 2 waves worth. So any experience advantage that Rocket had earlier is diminished at this point.
Without a doubt. I mean, Cherix is kind of fighting for his life as far as keeping up in terms of farm. Glad I chose base and got his Balmy Cinder, so he's going to be farming even faster. And if Cherix hits level 4 in like less than a minute, I'm going to be very sad about catch-up XP.
Yeah, the catch-up XP is going to be the only
He
thing
just hit
that...
it.
Huh? He just hit it?
Yeah, like, come on, man.
So, yeah, like I said earlier, it's the only role I know in the game where you can AFK in a bush and not lose the game for your team. Any other role, doesn't matter. You're gone out of that lane for even 30 seconds. Your opponent is going to be able to grade an advantage. But that's what you're seeing right now with Glada. He's a full clear ahead and is going to keep getting ahead. And you see he's pathing bot. Hopefully we get an early dragon with his giant advantage. He's going to hit 6 beforehand. Cherix isn't going to be able to answer these ganks that are going to come out with the Sejuani ult.
Certainly not. Gonna have to keep our eyes peeled on that Sejuani, as he is level 5, and so is Cherix. I guess that XP sapping was working wonders. But another engage coming out here from CS Affiliates, able to get a bit of chip damage out there, but not able to land the second Q.
Yeah.
No, but that really is insane. Oh, level 6 on the Cho'Gath. Ignite gets dropped. Tech ultimatum as well. Double flash. The stun comes out, but unable to land the second Q.
Yeah. Beautiful
Yeah.
silence there. That's exactly what you need to do as they go in on you, and that is how you survive that matchup. Trade for trade, double flashes, and with that, they're making the cross map play, taking that first dragon, getting that early advantage as they can. Looks like Feathers and Fur.
Oh, yeet!
Oh,
The feast comes in clutch, and already we do see Conduit making some plays. Oh, the Bola just not able to connect. Glacial Prison, not necessary, but still gonna secure the kill there.
yep,
And now they have the lead.
yeah. They're able to do what they needed to do. Glad I hit that 6, went for the immediate gank bot onto there, trying to get that Jhin ahead as much as possible, but just taking the kill himself, which is absolutely fine. Further creating a gap between himself and Cherix.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of insane looking at the fact that Cherix was the same level as Glado when he had double his farm in like camps taken, and he still does. But now at least he's a level up. They did secure the first dragon of the game, so this opens up the possibility of drag stacking. And considering it is Caitlyn Lux bot lane, I would say that they're doing pretty well down here for themselves.
Yeah, they're able to get the push in, mostly because of the fear that the Sejuani has put into this team. But as you can see, the Caitlyn's still farming extremely well, even from underneath the tower. And we're going to see a Cherix gank here in the bot lane, but it looks like Glada's reading him like a book, ready to go for the counter gank.
Yeah, here, once again, another engage coming out here from Glada. The curtain call is able to snipe out. Please nerf Victini here. Does get another root, making another stun. Ashe helping out there. Glada picking up a second kill of the game and forcing the flash out of Caitlyn here. Brother Hedge not doesn't have the flash. Nice block of the ace in the hole, but that's a 2 for 0 going out here for Conduit Hecklers.
Yeah, really good. Really good for them. Able to get a kill on that Jhin. He curved that bullet there to get Vicente. Really liking what they're doing, focusing the bot. I feel like they recognize that the Cho'Gath is doing at least even in that matchup that he's supposed to be doing him in the middle until they scale up. It's a wet noodle fight, so definitely focusing in the right place, trying to make sure the Caitlyn Lux doesn't get ahead.
Without a doubt. Also, I think his name, I could be wrong, but I think Lux's name is trying to reference like, was it Victini? I think that's a Pokemon. I think.
I have not played any of the new stuff. I stopped at Black.
I think he was there, but hey, either way, that's Pokemon. This is League. Once another engage coming out here from Glada, and this should be a dead Lux. The Glacial Prison just to secure it. The Ash Arrow going to the other side of the map, unable to hit Caitlyn here, but it's still not going to stop the kill. Or is it? Nice trap right in front, plus the Flag and Drag coming out from Cherix is able to stop this potential kill from going down, and the Cataclysm drops. It seems as though he calls it off after the fact as we go straight to top lane.
Yep, where we see Feathers and Fur going for it.
A flash baited out from from Glada, baiting Cherix into committing, and that's going to be a dead J4 on the board.
Yep, he saw the low health Sejuani and wanted to go straight for it, but when you're that far behind on a jungle, you only have one item, and it's really the Tiamat. You're not going to be doing much.
Certainly not. I mean, right now, Glada is just putting on a clinic, just been bot lane most of the game, and he's been taking advantage of it right now. The gold lead nearly at 3K, 12 minutes in for this essentially scaling team.
Yeah, and what's surprising about it is that no one's been focusing mid whatsoever. It's always been bottom or top. They're just letting the Anivia and Asol scale, and this is what Asol wants. His bot's ahead, his jungler's ahead, and he's getting all the scaling he needs for Stardust to start executing the later this game goes on.
Whew. I'm already just kind of worried about that Asol. He hasn't been pressured very much, but definitely gonna have to keep our eye out for that. And as far as scaling goes, CS Aphelios up in the top lane on the Camille has in fact finished the Sunderer. Ooh, and Cherix is looking for an invade here. Vision's getting cleared, and Gladys seems to be taking a recall. Oh, gets hit by the Flag and Drag. Is he able to make it over the wall? He is not. He gets blocked up, body blocked by Cherix. Hextech Ultimatum, and that's going to be a shutdown going over to Camille once more.
That really good, able to find him there, stop his charge over the wall with the Camille ult. Really good, and 600 gold under the one person that's not behind.
The Cataclysm coming out. Stun able to connect over the wall. Second Q does drop, forces the flash out of Feathers and Fur, and they decide not to go for the tower dive.
Yeah, really smart on them not to go for the dive. He still had his silence up. That would have completely just given him a kill. Even if they traded, a trade onto the Cho'Gath is still ideal. But yeah, CS Aphelios, definitely where you want to be. That's where you want your gold. Hopefully he can use his ultimate to just...
The Asol coming in from a roam, able to land the ultimate, charged up. Ash Arrow unable to land, forces the flash out of the Lux. Curtain Call does drop, but it doesn't seem like it's going to pick up a kill here. Glacial Prison gets thrown onto the Anivia, who TP'd over and forced to use both sums just as soon as they were in the fight. And this very well might be the second dragon of the game going over to Conduit Hecklers, as J4 is over at the Rift.
Yeah, with both of those, with both flashes on the Lux and Anivia down, you don't really have any opportunity to contest it, but really good read for Cherix to go for the Rift Herald cross map play, and it looks like he's going to try and make another play to do anything to get CS Aphelios ahead, which has got to be the name of the game for Rocket.
Certainly so. I mean, Rocket, their only real advantage is up in that top lane, as you mentioned, and it already is kind of tough trying to get a gank off onto this Jhin Ashe in the bot lane. Considering how a lot of their fights have been going, might as well just try to get that one person who can guaranteed assassinate either that Jhin or that Ashe. Might as well get them as ahead as possible.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm really curious to see since there's no really major objective up, trying to see where they focus their attention to.
Ooh,
Um,
Ash Arrow does hit from a mile deep, does get the stun, and holds Anivia in place, burns the ult. I mean, burns the
oh,
egg, and the black hole drags her Anivia egg closer back into the tower, which is an interaction I was not expecting to happen. Glacial
yeah.
Prison onto J4, caught in between way too many minions, but Sedge doesn't follow him after the fact. Heal blown, and he makes it out alive.
Yeah, it costs them his splash there. Really good, able to survive that. If not, they would have definitely been able to push in mid really hard and take that first tower. It looks like that they were just trying to save it, but it looks like to be what's happening right now. The good old NA Ram.
Definitely an interesting state of the game. J4 going in for a Cataclysm, forces the flash out of the Ash. The Lux Binding unable to connect. Aso ultimate comes down. Caitlyn Q unable to connect, and the barrier is used as well to make sure that Ash stays alive. And that's going to be a double kill going over to Billy Willard as the Asol's just putting in work, and yet another Ash arrow going wide.
Yep, everything you don't want to go wrong is going wrong for Rocket right now. The scaling Asol is now fed. He's got really good farm, 3 kills. That Roa is at 4 stacks. He's gonna get that extra level advantage coming up here shortly in the next 6 minutes. And
Ooh,
they're just
Ash, Hail of Blades, getting some damage onto here. Sedge going in for the tower dive, plus the smite. That's going to be, we had another kill going over to Glada. Ooh, E from the Caitlyn, forcing the flash out of Glada. Unable to pick up the kill, though. Does have Ace in the hole available, but no vision in sight.
yeah. And during that entire time, you see that CS Affiliates is just split pushing that top side, trying to do anything. Let's
Yeah,
see.
ooh. He does get spotted out under the tower. Gale Force gets thrown out by the Jhin. Current Call gets popped, but unable to catch her out before she steps out of the range.
Yeah, went to the wrong side of the curtain there, but able to prevent her from getting all that gold on that tower. Those tier 2 side lanes are worth a lot of money, and she needs that gold influx to keep this team even.
Indeed, definitely, definitely good for the side of the Rocketfellas here. At least Camille is getting quite a bit of gold here, and ooh, TP. Cataclysm forcing the flash out of Billy Willard, but unable to capitalize any further. They're just wanting to take this bot tower for sure. Ooh, stun does connect. One more auto. The ignite gets dropped. Shutdown. Going over to CS Affiliate says Aurelian Soul dies, but now she's stuck between a rock and a hard place. She's just in the middle of 4 different people. Cho'Gath does tap her, picks up the kill onto her, and the Ash Arrow finally does connect. It does land on the Anivia. She gets blown up. Double kill going over to Cho'Gath, and now they're just getting run down by this Ashe and Sejuani. Make it a 3rd kill going over to Conduit, and J4 unaware that he is on vision. Slowed once again. Make it a root, and is it going to be a kill here? It is going to be a kill once again. Make it a 4-for-1 for the side of the Conduit Hecklers, and this is spelling nothing but doom for the side of the Rocketfellas.
Yeah, really greedy play there from Billy Willard on that Asol. Just like, I feel safe enough, and he went for it. But Camille, the only one doing anything on this team right now, and it makes you wonder, that is this game over yet? And if so, what are going to be the draft answers to try and get them back into it so that this series isn't a quick 2-0?
Definitely is a tough spot to be in when you're playing against the supposed scaling team and you're down this much gold already and you've down 2 dragons, but CS Aphelios trying his best to get any sort of a play to happen. He sees the Ashe and the Jhin by himself, but is just unable to capitalize on that state of affairs. Do see Asol just slowing down the Anivia, dragged back into the black hole, and that egg gets popped for a 2nd time. And that's going to be another dead bird on the scoreboard. Current Call gets thrown out here. Ooh, Camille gets sniped from Brother Hedge, and Caitlyn just gets run down on the other side of the river. Billy Willard just mowing down J4. He's got nowhere to go. Go down to the bot lane, a full HP Sejuani trying to take the life of this Lux. Unable to do so, but with both of them being extremely low, this should be a free 3rd dragon for the Hecklers.
Yeah, I mean, Anivia Egg just came up and immediately lost it. Thinking, I'm pretty sure she thought she had that nest egg there. thinking that she was safe. Turns out it was just a bait. Baited yourself. And then that led the rest of the team trying to save Messiah, going in 1v1 at a time. And Conduit really good at just like waiting for them to make the mistakes, overextending, and then catching them out one at a time.
Definitely executing on all cylinders for the side of the Hecklers here, and maybe it's just an item diff at this point, right? Because I mean, you tell me. The Evan Shroud on Sejuani has definitely been catching my eye as of recently.
Yeah, the Evans shot makes you wonder what's really going on here, but I think the Sejuani knows her job isn't to deal damage, it's to make sure everyone else can deal as much as they possibly can. By immobilizing the target that she goes for, everyone's amplifying that damage by 9%. And if you're someone as strong as the Asol is now, and you have that execute on your fully leveled up Q, 9% makes it faster. You also have the Jin 5-0, almost on his second item, getting that IE. He's going to start critting very hard. He's currently sitting at about like 300 damage just with what he's got right now. So
Yeah, oh, Sejuani's just running down Messiah here. Uses the Glacial Prison. He is not giving up on this chase. Forces the flash out of Messiah, and that's enough for him. Ooh, the root does land on Billy Willard. He's got nowhere to run, but he is going to stand and fight his way to the death as he picks up the kill onto Lux. The Anivia ultimate is just keeping them locked in place. The slow is huge. Flash forward coming out from Ruby ADC. And he's able to pick up the shutdown on the Asol. Do see the Ash Arrow come out and stun them up, but Cherek's able to come in on the flank and get the Cataclysm, and he is able to pick up the kill on the Glada, but not before Brotherhead snipes him out with the curtain call. A few more autos, and that's going to be a dead bird. Call it Thanksgiving, and that's going to make it 20-5, and a Caitlyn with nowhere to go fails the trap, the E over the wall, and that's yet another kill going over to the Jin, making him 7-0-6.
yeah, really good from them. Just to be able to like answer back right when the Asol and the Sejuani died. That Caitlyn flash is what nimbly led to her death right there. But I think if you're her,
Ooh.
that's a worth trade.
Do you see the Hextech Ultimatum coming out? Is he able to get the auto? He just isn't. He is able to get the Q reset and pick up the shutdown. But now before Billy Willard drops the TP and picks up a kill of his own.
Man, I see Aphelios needs to change his name to the Mandalorian because he's collecting bounties like no one other than this game.
I mean, it is definitely him on his own, to say the least. I mean, 4-4, the KD doesn't look spectacular, but realistically, he's their only real threat at the moment.
I full-heartedly believe if the Camille isn't as strong as she is right now, this game would have been over 3 minutes ago.
Quite possibly. And in the mid lane, one Ash Arrow and a Jin Root is more than enough to blow the cleanse and the heal off of the bot lane of the Rocketfellas. And we do see a TP coming in. Pings are coming down. It seems as though they're going to be starting up this Baron. They do have vision of them. The Baron is started, but doesn't seem like many people are in the area to contest. The Anivia does throw the ultimate out and just leaving it on top of the Asol. Stuns him up. And the Baron gets extremely low, but it does get secured with little to no contention. Glacial Prison does get thrown by the Sejuani, as well as the curtain call and the Ash Arrow, all of them going wide. Flash coming out from the Sejuani to follow Cherix, and it locks him down for just long enough, unable to get the Cataclysm out of the way. And Glada a bit deep, but does have the support from Aurelion Sol to drop the ultimate there. Hextech Ultimatum gets used just for a bit of distance. They are able to pick up the kill onto Glada, but Camille gets blown up just as quickly in this choke. And that's going to be a 2-for-1 as well as the Baron. Make it 2-for-2 quite possibly, forcing the flash out of Yipsy. And he's able to make it out alive somehow.
Yeah, that was, I'm pretty sure the second time he's used that barrier at all this entire game, but a really clutch use right there, preventing the 2v2. But the entire reason why they went for that play is Cherix was on vision on bot side, and they just went for it, regardless of the fact that Glada didn't have a smite or not. So it was pretty tricksy 50-50, but they felt pretty confident without the jungler smite secure there. Go for it.
Without a doubt, and I mean, one thing I've learned about Asol is that once he has 2 items, this dude can DPS Baron like very few others can. And now make it that he is at 3 items. Before I say that, we do see the binding does get hit onto the Ash. Standing still, Ash Arrow comes out, forces the flash out of the Lux, but she is soon to die, as well as the Ash, as the Cataclysm does get dropped. Nowhere else for Terex to go, so he decides to go back in and gives a second kill over to Billy Willard. Glada goes over the wall, lands an auto attack onto Caitlyn, forces her to get rooted up, and there's just nowhere for her to go as the ASO ultimate takes up half of the map on its own. The egg does get popped, and a bit more damage comes through. The res might come in, but it's just not enough as Brother Hedge has made his way to that lane. 4 for 1 once again. Make the kill score 28-8 for the side of the Hecklers.
Yep, he came in there for that kill secure, but you can see the mobility difference there with the Aurelion Soul. Like, doesn't really need a lot of other things. And
Oh, nice stun W combo coming out from CS Aphelios, and just a bunch of pigs going down. As you said, the Mandalorian CS Aphelios himself picking up yet another shutdown, trying to claw his way back into this game, but with the Mountain Soul secured, I don't know how much more else he can do.
yeah, I don't really know either. It's about a 9K gold difference right at this point, and I feel like that they're going to be closing the game out real shortly. Between that Baron and that Mountain Soul, just the way everything's pushing up right now, they're going to start finishing out these last two tier 2 towers, starting onto those, or tier 1 towers, starting to get to those inhibitors, and we'll see if Rocket has any answer, but I just don't know how they can get their way back into it.
Definitely is a tough situation to be in, where you had a lot of your games is early game focus, but now we're only 27 minutes in and it's just not paying dividends. Once again, make Brother Hedge 10-0-9 on this Jhin, as they are just picking people left and right.
Yep. We see CS Aphelios going for another bounty, but this time it's an objective and not a person. Able to trying to get any gold into the member of his teammates just to try and do anything, but you're looking at everyone about to get to their 3rd item, and we still have people without their seconds.
Without a doubt, Ace ulti comes out and disrupts the team, forces them away from that second tower, as well as a flash blown off of Messiah. And CS Aphelios just consistently pushing down in the bot lane by himself. He is able to pick up the second bounty. Glada goes over the wall, lands the auto attack, but they aren't able to connect the root. Cataclysm gets dropped onto him. Asol goes over the wall, snipes out the Lux, and the Cataclysm does finally go away. Ash Arrow tries to do any sort of follow-up, plus the Glacial Prison. Glada able to pick up the kill onto the Caitlyn, and now make the 3rd objective bounty secured by Aphelios here on this Camille 1v1ing Cho'Gath. Is he going to be able to do it? He's sidestepping all these Qs. Does he have enough? And he does. He's going to be taking the inhib just as much as the side of the Hecklers are. They're just delaying for the inevitable at this point.
Yeah, it looks like the Cherix is just trying to do anything to keep them from backing so that he could secure that inhibitor. Ophelia is able to get those 3 towers plus an inhib and the solo kill. A massive boon for the team. What was a 10K gold difference is now only at 7. Now he's going to be able to go back and buy. He's already sitting at 3 items, probably go back to get his 4th. And if he's able to get on anyone, hopefully the Jhin, he'll be able to get that shut down too.
Ooh, Cherix does spot out Glad over in his jungle, but definitely have to keep out for that. Let's see what he decides to buy, and he does finish up a Death's Dance. And now he's got Death's Dance and his boots available to him. Definitely the strongest member of his team, and if there's any chance of them coming back into this game, it's going to be off of him.
Oh, absolutely. Like, not just the strongest member on his team, strongest one in the game. 10 kills on the Jhin still doesn't have 4 complete items. So anything we can see him do, I fully suspect he's going to go for that top side objective bounty. It's a really low health tier 1 tower, and then hopefully while they're just playing this Baron game, he's able to go for it, because I don't see them winning a team fight.
Yeah, they have to team fight into this, seeming to be really difficult. CS Aphelios just posturing up in the river, pretty close to all the members of of the Hecklers here. He does get spotted out on the vision. He takes the blast cone, but gets predicted by Glada here, and he's got nowhere to run. Gets instantly blown up by 4 members of the team. A bit overextended. The Ace Ultimate comes out, and it is disrupting everybody in this vicinity. Speaking of which, Victini blown up as well. And now the Anivia Egg can only hold out for so long. Double kill going over to Acel, and they very well might just try to push to end the game, as the only remaining member on the side of the Rocketfellas is this J4.
Yeah, that's all she wrote with the CS
And there
affiliates
he
being
goes.
caught out. That's going to be game. Really good. What I'd like to see change here is got to get rid of that affiliates, and you got to play for the bot lane if you're Rockets.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Rockets, it is definitely a tough showing, considering practically every lane except for top seemed to perform not too hot, or just as the game progressed, it just got worse and worse. Just looking at Katie's respectively, like Camille was the only one realistically influencing the game after a certain point, and it's just kind of like you said, the side of the Hecklers just didn't really have to do too much. I mean, they were making plays, but eventually, inevitably, they just kind of had the superior scaling, and they just couldn't. They were just winning most team fights.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see the adjustments made. I fully assume that Rockefellers are going to try and go for the blue and get a priority pick while also getting rid of the Aurelion Soul. I don't think they can leave that up again if they have any hope to win the series.
Indeed. I mean, we're definitely going to have to keep our eyes out for that, but that'll be some adjustments going into the next game. So, with that, we'll take a short break and we'll be back once both teams are ready to go into game 2 of this best of 3 series between the Conduit Hecklers and the Rocketfellas. So, don't go anywhere. right, everybody, welcome back for this second game of this best of three series between the Conduit Hecklers and the Rocketfellas. If you were here with us earlier, you would have seen the Hecklers pull off a pretty convincing victory in this first game. And now we're going to see if the Rocketfellas are able to bounce back and bring this one to 3 games. I mean, they'd have swapped sides and they have started up the draft.
Mommy. Yeah, the side swap has been decided, but it looks like that Rocketfellas is changing up the band phase a little bit with the Zoe going into it, and Hecklers know what they can do with the Asol, hovering that band as well, trying to keep it out of the Rocketfellas' hands.
Yeah, it might be some mind games. Maybe they're aware that the Rocketfellas can play it, so they don't want to risk the chance of it going through. So they decided to ban it second, and just don't want to give B1 option over to them. And the Rocketfellas taking away the Zaya, 2 ADC bans up front.
Yeah, I would have really liked to see the Zaya to be B1. Honestly, I think it's probably the most highly contested priority pick, at least in the amateur and pro scene.
Hmm.
Just offers so much utility, and the fact that it's very hard to get onto. So I'm curious to see what we're gonna get from the side of Rocketfellas.
Yeah, I mean, another B1 that's people seem to gravitate towards a bit often is the Caitlyn. It is taken away from the Hecklers. Now all that's left to question is what could they possibly pick on B1? And a Seraphine is being covered at the moment.
Seraphine, I think that is one of their priority picks that they love to play. Uh,
Def Definitely interesting. I mean, she hasn't been as like giga strong as she used to be in previous patches or even previous seasons, but still does have that capability of being flexed to multiple roles. So
yeah, the fact that you can flex it, and she just has so much utility and shielding. On the side of Hecklers, you're gonna have to build an AP champion that goes straight into the Shadow Flame second item, just to have an answer for it. So I think overall really good pick. It was banned away from them last game, so I think they do have a lot of prior on this pick.
yeah, very interesting pick to say the least. Or at least we hope to see this could be what turns around the fortunes of the Rocketfellas, considering how the first game went. I mean, the first game they did have the Caitlyn Lux, so they played towards that sort of early game style. But now with the Seraphine, it seems as though they're going more for a bit of the scaling, and the Hecklers deciding to try to put a stop to that, locking in the Varus and the Renata Glask on 1-2.
Now, I'm a big fan of Renata. I absolutely love her, especially with the Varus. I think that's like a primo duo on par with the Caitlyn Lux. This champ, what this bot lane is telling me is engage on me so we can counter engage on you and get the kill. But it looks like which is absolutely what they want to do with that Rockefeller ultimate with Seraphine. It looks like they're trying to go more poke centric again in that bot lane with the Senna. So,
Mhm.
and
And
sorry.
I was gonna say Senna's like pretty up there as she recently got recent buffs to her kit, got a bit more of attack speed, and I don't think there's gonna be that much pressure coming out from the Heckler's bot lane where this if they are to do Seraphine Senna bot lane to shove them out. I feel like Senna has a really decent spot, especially if they don't pick any more hard engage after the fact. And the Rockefeller is locking a Nocturne here. So just kind of guaranteeing themselves somebody that will be able to try a dive member of the Hecklers. Seems at
Yeah.
this moment possibly the Varus.
Yeah, I don't like the Nocturne pick at all. The Hecklers literally drafted two things that you don't want to go all in on, especially with the Renata W able to answer back any type of dive you do.
Hmm.
And you got to go second item GA just so that you don't die and allow them to respawn with that W. The Viego really good answer as well,
Hmm.
really good duelist, especially into the Nocturne. At this point, I don't even know what 4 and 5 are going to be on the side of Rockefellers, but Hecklers taking away that Camille, afraid of what CS Affiliates did last game, hoping that doesn't happen, knowing that it's not going to happen again now with that ban.
Yeah, definitely be interested to see how the Rockefellers pivot their draft at the moment because it's not as though like right now their only go button is Nocturne and I'm not in the biggest of not the biggest spot to believe that Seraphine and Senna are the type of champions that are going to be running in deep, diving with you. So
Yeah.
definitely going to have to see which way they pivot their support here, or at least how do they support their team, or who they decide to support more. But as far as bans go, mainly top laners are thrown out of the champion pool. We do see Camille and Olaf banned over from the side of Hecklers, and Urgot as one of the bans coming out from the Rocketfellas.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I think if you're Rockefellers, you got to go all in on the all in. Or
Mhm.
because if you mix and match the draft, it's just not going to synergize, and you're going to lose it before you even get into the game. So, like I really want to see a Galio mid. I think that synergizes super well with the Nocturne all in, and no one's going to be able to see that Galio come in as well with the with Nocturne's ult. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be an interesting pairing.
Alawi.
Ooh, allow. Oof,
Yes.
my dude Dobimon is just in an ecstatic state of mind. Is now just like you said. Hey, you should probably double down on the all in. Probably not the champion who want to all in.
Yeah,
Just locked in.
absolutely. I think the Alawi is exactly what you want for the hecklers, trying to invite them in to go. But it looks like with that Ash hover, it's Seraphine going mid.
Yeah, they decide to swap over the bot lane, and it's gonna be Senna Ash down there. A bit more poke, but they have the opportunity to like get some slows. They don't have to commit to something nearly as hard. So I mean, there's that angle, but now we're just kind of in that awkward spot where now we only have a Nocturne.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. And unless Rocketfellas can survive until the scaling matchup, then based off of how that game last game went, like if you're now the scaling team and you were playing from behind as the early game team last game, we're gonna have to see some significant changes in how they operate around the map so they don't get early game lost again.
Yeah, without a doubt. And ooh, is that a Vladimir hover in for the mid lane?
That
I,
is a Vladimir picked up, really good pick, I believe. Just being able to sustain the Seraphine damage is what they want to do. You
yeah.
see a lot of healing on the side, like built into the kits on the side of hecklers there. Um, so I'm gonna need some early grievous wounds on Rocketfellas in order to stay into the game.
I mean, already coming out of drafts, I'm really favoring hecklers right now. Um, I think as you mentioned, I don't see that much in terms of synergy coming out from the Rocketfellas draft, where it's like you have Seraphine and you have Senna. Like when you have those champions, the first thing comes to mind is you want to take extended fights. But Gragas and Nocturne don't seem to me like those types of champions that can like stay in a fight for mad long. Especially when you have to play against an allowing of Vlad who just do that but better.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the Nocturnes, he's just going in there to do one thing, and it's to assassinate the virus, and that's all he's going to be able to do because of the Vladimir pick, and just like so much the ability to survive due to the pool. Nocturne's not going to be able to get on there and assassinate him, so you have to go for the Varus. What does Varus have though? He's got the Renata in his back pocket, and now that you have no ability to kill anyone in the backline, Nocturne's not going to be able to do much, and is the only person who is going to have burst damage outside of a full AP Gragas, which I don't think would be the wisest move because they have no ability to tank with any front line unless Gragas gets
Mhm.
goes for his tank build. So just overall, Rockefeller, I'm gonna equate this one to a draft if right off to the bat. My prediction's gonna go with Conduit Hecklers here. But there are ways Rockefeller can win, right? Like
Mhm.
so in playing around that mid lane, getting that Seraphine ahead is definitely gonna do it. The Senna does scale very well into the late game, can delete champions right off to the bat. So
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I think it's more so. I think more so it's not as much as that their draft is like inherently like, oh my god, it's like bad or they can't win. But I think there's just much more things have to go right for the Rocketfellas comp to be able to play out the way I think they intend to.
Yeah,
Like, there's only so many ways to play Heckler's comp where it's like you have an Alawi for frontline, Vladimir can delay, and Viego's just going to look for some kind of kill, and you've got Renata to delay that. But now I'm looking at the Rocketfellas, and I'm like, well, something like so many things have to go right for these fights to turn out well for them. It seems.
so many things that go right. And our prediction of Senate following wrong, I mean, it's set up long into that top lane. And I don't see a world in which this composition will work out. Just as we were discussing how Rockefeller could win, all of that shot in the dark now with Gragas going mid, so probably going to go for that full AP build. And
Mhm.
I know there is a world in which Senna can go for a tankier build because she can stack. She's able to get that damage, that lifesteal. Like she can go for that Frostfire Gauntlet. But versus an Alawi, like I just don't know. I remain hopeful, hopefully to see the matchup. CS Aphelios did win that in the 1v1, was able to get ahead due to Charek. So hopefully they're able to do the same thing again and keep that Santa scaling and get that early lead so she can scale well into the late game.
Without a doubt, it's definitely gonna. Essentially, what this game is we've put our money on the Hecklers, and we're saying this comp. We are sure there is a way to win with this comp. Like we can see the team fight, we can envision it. Like this is how it's gonna go, right? And now it's just it is on the Rocketfellas. Not only were their backs against the wall coming into this game, being down 0-1, but now they've pulled out a draft that we couldn't even predict until they decided to lock it in client. So with that, I think our best choice of option is to just see how they decide to play this one out and see if they can shock us or prove us right. So with that, we're going to be taking a short break as we get into spectator delay, and we'll be right back for game 2 of Risen Rampage between the Rocketfellas and Conduit Hecklers. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody, as we're getting into game 2 of this best of 3 series between the Conduit Hecklers and the Rocketfellas. Almost forgot because I am just still in utter shock as to the draft that the Hecklers have, I mean, the Rocketfellas have decided to draft for themselves with the Senna top lane, and they're already trying to make some moves with an invade in the bot side of the map, but unable to make anything happen before getting spotted out here.
Yeah, this is exactly what they need to do if they want to get any type of chance at this game, right? It's to do a cheese, go for the early game plays, try to go for anything to get themselves ahead so that they can survive long enough to get the scaling composition.
Yeah, it
Like you
really,
said,
yeah.
the Senna top lane is a surprise to be sure, but there is a world in which it works, and we're excited to see if they're the team that can accomplish.
I'm waiting to be proven wrong. Another interesting tidbit. We do see heal exhaust coming out from the bot lane of the Hecklers. Um, I would have assumed that seeing their comp cleanse on the Varus would have just virtually made it impossible for that Rocketfellas to ever get any kind of engage onto this guy.
Yeah, seeing that that's not going to be there, definitely an issue to be sure. But hopefully, they're able to swap it out, and that Renata is able to get on McHale's. It looks like they did swap supports. It's no longer Yipsy down there. It's Merciful Crow. So definitely to see how that changes up the dynamic of the Hecklers here.
That is very true. Gonna have to keep our eye out on that to see how that pans out. But right now, it's just a bit of poke trading coming out into that bot lane. Relatively even though. We do see that Ruby EDC Uwu has in fact started the cleanse. I mean the call in this lane, so he's not really gonna be looking for too many all-in fights. But speaking of fights, already trying to gank this Vlad here, pops Ghost and forces it out of him, and that's one sum blown on the level 3 gank coming out there from Sherix.
That's really good for Cherix. He's already farming better than he was last game, but we see
Ooh,
Glad topside.
once again another gank coming out, but this time on the top side of the map. Gladia able to chunk out Senna, and she's about 200 HP or less.
Yeah, that's exactly where you need to go. If you're Heckler's, just that squishy top laner, make sure she's never able to scale and
Ooh, and the
get that Alawi
1v1 in the
going.
jungle. Flash forced out of Gladia here, unable to land a stun, and the next Q going in for an auto trade battle, but it is blue-red versus just red. Feathers and Fur is here. Cherix does have flash available to him. He flashes over the wall. The stun does connect, but that's first blood going over to the Nocturne here. And Alawi doesn't have another Q available to her. It's just not going to be enough. And that's the first 2 kills of the game going over to Rocketfellas.
It's really good that Aphelios is able to get one of those kills, making up for that CS difference between him and Alawi right now. Just able to get away scot free, if you will, for Cherix. That early game aggression is what he needs to do to keep his team ahead. Seeing this early gold lead for Rockefellers, I'm really hopeful to be proven wrong this game.
Yeah, I mean, already 1,000 gold lead going over to the Rocketfellas here. Very well might be a different story considering they were on the red side the first game. Maybe there's just blue side warriors that I've seen a lot of people in these level leagues are.
Yeah, it's really good to see early bot lane lead on the side of Rockefellers too. Ruby got that wave advantage, and we see that Vandrel's not too far ahead of Messiah either. So they're able to keep this gold lead. Hopefully, going into as we start transitioning to the early objectives, they'll be sitting pretty as they start these early team fights.
Yeah, it's like you already scale hard enough as it is. You just kind of need that cushion to make sure that when you do have to take team fights, they don't go nearly as poorly. And already just a lot of soul stacking coming out here from the Senna, but Lowy not losing any ground here, trying to take as much, take as many trades as she can, work with her HP bar, because that's typically what Lowy does best.
Yep. And then just right now she's backing or at least getting ready to try and get some of that gold so they're able to deal with feathers and fur and just stay away from the bot side of that tower under the tower. But I think they're already sitting at almost like 18 souls at 5.5 minutes. That's really fast scaling right there.
Certainly. I mean, if Senna can ever get to a point where she starts outraging the Varus, or maybe even the Varus ultimate range, that could be a very difficult thing to play around. But that just depends on what Varus builds. But speaking of Varus, a bit more trading going down in the bot lane. Ash just running down this Renata. Flash is still available. Heals used by Brother Hedge to try to delay the ensuing fight. But now Brother Hedge is exhausted, caught in between two people, and he hasn't turned around to take the fight with them. It's going to be two sums blown on the side of Conduit Hecklers here.
Yeah, it's looking like a different game. Rocketfellas probably just needed to warm up, and they definitely did not let that loss discourage them. Here they are giving it their all, winning in the bot lane, uh, winning the early game skirmish, getting first blood, starting to scale. Like, then it looks like he's also going to get that first dragon. So everything's going away of Rocket right now.
Yeah, Cherik's on that dragon. He is going uncontested, especially considering the priority in the lane was on their side. Do see Brotherhead's trying to shove the wave out and get it to crash in the tower, but the dragon being taken, they are soon to fall back here.
Yeah, and Glada looking topside, trying to do something, maybe trying to get to be on that Rift Herald as soon as it spawns, but staying topside, avoiding bot. I don't think that's the way to go for this game.
Ooh, looking for a gank here. Forces the flash out of Messiah. Is full HP, but doesn't want to risk the chance of potentially getting jumped here by Glad on this Viego.
Yeah, just that Glad is able to put some pressure in there, try and do anything to keep the Vladimir staying ahead, which is what you want, so that the Vladimir can be a good answer for whenever the Nocturne is able to dive. But Nocturne's about to hit 6 here. I'm ready to see some spicy ganks coming from the jungle.
Yeah, it should be Gank City coming relatively soon. Both junglers are levels 5, but certainly once Cherik's hit level 6 and he just dinged it, he might be looking for some plays across the map. And just once again, just some constant training going out here in the top lane. We're going to have to take a quick soul check as well. And that is 26 souls at 8 minutes for CS Aphelios here. Maybe 29.
Yeah, which is great. As long as they're able to do it and keep it going, it's going to be really strong for her to go. The Viego avoiding up there, giving any more souls over to CS Aphelios, just trying to stay away from what he knows is the carry top lane, or no matter what champion he's on at this point, by the looks of it.
That is certainly the case. Now, as we watch over the bot lane, we do see that Brother Hedge does in fact go for lethality. Varus wants to keep his range, and which makes sense. It's the only real instance where he kind of is at danger is if he gets close enough to Ashe Seraphine or even the Nocturne here. So keeping his distance is definitely the way to go, I would say.
Yeah, if they're trying to be the aggressors, poke Varus is definitely what you want. But I would have really liked to see the AP Varus build, especially because you have that Alawi and Viego top mid.
Ooh, gang coming up from the top lane. Feather and Fur does have ultimate available to him. He does land the E. Is he able to get the HP back? Just not enough in time. The Nocturne able to pump out way too much damage, but the tentacles are slapping. But Cherik's able to make it out alive just fine. The ultimate dropping here from the Vladimir. He does get ignited, does get hit by the cask, but it's just not enough. Vandrel able to make it out just fine with a sliver of HP left.
That's really good play from Messiah. You're down all that gold. Oh!
Sniped from across the map. CS Aphelios adding another kill to his pockets. The gold lead's now up to 2K.
Yeah, they're running away. Really good. The scaling composition is scaling early. Hopefully they're able to keep that up. The fact that Messiah was able to 1v1 Vandrel there, especially behind in CS and down a level, is really strong for him. So he looks like to be going into that Seraphs as well to go into a scaling himself. But which this is exactly what you want to do. Get into it, last longer, and then do all the damage later. And it's really
Oh,
good.
we do see Nocturne in the bot lane looking for a potential gank here. He does see ward that he in fact sweeps, but they decide not to continue to go for the play. Meanwhile, Alawi looking to get some plates up in the top lane for herself and hopefully get some a bit more tankiness under her belts. And speaking of items, look at Senna.
Yeah, definitely looks like to be going in towards that tanky build. Um, I fully expect the
Is that a
Frostfire
Warmog?
Gauntlet. Yeah, I don't know why you would rush Warmogs first. Because like you need that 1100 gold to make it useful, or 1100 health, excuse me. But
Yeah, the extra bonus health. But I mean, he did start off with the regen item, and then he's bought nothing but HP since then. So it just kind of leads me to believe it's like, is that a Warmog's first? Maybe.
it could be.
Oh,
We'll be going super scaling.
we're just super scaling as we speak. But for a comp that is definitely leaning more towards the mid and late game, they have been putting on a relative clinic with how much they've been able to get in terms of a lead this early on into the game. The dragon is up. Do see Nocturne spotting out Glada here, forces the fear onto him, and the flash gets thrown. Paranoia comes out, and now they're all caught in, but a nice hostile takeover coming out from Renata delays the ensuing fight. Vlad behind them picks up the shutdown onto the Nocturne. Seraphine got nowhere to go, soon to drop as well. And Vladimir is just on the back line of the fight, running them away. The shields are massive after the takeover from Viego, and that's going to be a 3-0. And just as quick as that lead was there, it has.
Yep. So uh, everything that went wrong could have gone wrong uh, on the side of Rocketfellas, and it's a shame to see that all that hard work they did went away into a botched team fight. They just Conduit had the first roam in both lanes and got to the fight first, and what was pretty good on the side of Cherix making a really good play, dodge in the Viego stun just didn't work out because needed to burn that flash to get away from the Varus, and that was all she wrote.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nearly 2K gold lead, and it's practically evened out, especially after dropping that Rift Herald in the mid lane. Black Cleaver picked up for Glada, and oh, it's fact it is a heart steal up in the top lane, and a pause. Support, I believe, is lagging on the side of Conduit Hecklers here.
Yeah, you wouldn't know it based off of the way they were able to play it. Got a really good hostile takeover, completely negating, and that allowed for like the Ash and the Nocturne just start smacking each other, doing a lot of damage, and that allowed for the Vladimir to just come in and clean up.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough spot to be in, but that was a part of it was just what we expected coming out of the draft where once team fights started to break out, it'd be very difficult for for the side of the Rocketfellas to just play around it, you know what I mean? Where Nocturne goes in and Seraphine tries to keep up with them, but once somebody falls and Viego can get a reset, it just becomes a very, very hard fight to play around.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very rough for them, and the fact that most of their gold is on their top side of the map and unable to be a part of that team fight, where most of the gold for Conduit was in their mid lane, and he was able to get to that team fight first, get in there, and pretty much deny everything coming out of the side of Rocket.
Yeah, it was very, very unfortunate turn of events for them, but the only benefit for the benefit that they have is they are in fact scaling. Like you have that Senna who's gonna scale. Seraphine hasn't hit her first item yet, so her really big spike is gonna be coming up soon. Um, and Nocturne is even though he is he did die in that fight. He still has quite a bit of gold on him as well. So you have options to play around. It is unfortunate you lose the first dragon, but the longer the game goes, the better.
Yeah, but we're right back into it, going back into the game. But it looks like that the Vladimir also,
Yeah, don't worry. I think it's just like, are you paused too, right? Or like it's
yeah,
frozen
yeah,
or something? Yeah, it's usually just a little spectator bug. I think after a pause, it just kind of get wants to give the spectator tool like a couple seconds um until it like resumes. It's kind of funny.
yeah, no worries. But uh,
Yep.
the Hecklers know what's coming. They know that they need a scale as well too. Vandrel grabbed a call, already 80 CS on it. 20 way before that nice big buff, and that'll be pretty good as they go into the next team fight with dragons with Rift Herald spawning in 3 minutes. That's going to be the next major objective that they go for.
Ooh. Yeah, definitely gonna be keeping our eyes out on this objective. Also, an interesting thing to point out: Feathers and Fur opting for the Hull Breaker first item, so already kind of indicative of what he wants to do as this game progresses. He kind of wants to sit in lane by himself. Oh, but a bit more trading coming out here in the mid lane. We do see the Nocturne ulti come out onto the Vladimir. Is he able to make it out alive? He does blow the flash, and he is going to be making it out safely.
Yeah, but the flash being burned there, really good, and was able to proc that phase rush. So he was getting out scot free. Really good answer on the side of Rocket to make sure that Messiah was going to be safe as well. If not for that Nocturne, I'm pretty sure Vandro would have kept going for it and probably dove, because just look at that damage happening. That's a AP Gragas. Your ass gonna be abused.
Yeah, he is not tanky at all. I mean, he does have his Roa, so he wants to kind of get some sort of tankiness, even though he's going AP, which I can respect. But at a certain point, the Vladimir is just not going to care. And as the fight goes on longer and longer, it just benefits him more and more. But nice bit of
Yeah.
poke coming out here from the bot lane. Meanwhile, Vladimir nearly taking the mid tower by himself. Also thanks to the Rift Herald crash that Glad had dropped on him a bit earlier. But do see Pinks coming down the bot lane, and we might look to make a play here. Coming in for the flank, the Ash Arrow does come out. Hostile takeover thrown at max range, and it doesn't connect, but a 3-man encore plus the double root. Senna ulti coming out for the shield, but it's just not going to be enough. No kills coming out on either side, as there was not enough damage coming out from either team to secure a kill there. All the while, Vandrel able to pick up the first blood tower in the mid lane.
Yeah. Yeah, they had to try and do something. They were able to stave off the dive, which is what you really want as Rocket. Like, I don't think they were ever going to get a kill there. It was really good that they almost did, but just surviving the dive just makes it really good.
Indeed. Speaking of dives, we do have the Nocturne throwing out the Paranoia, gets the Fear onto Vandrel, but it just does not have enough damage to kill him before he makes it to tower. Phase Rush definitely coming in clutch there. Ooh, an attempt at a stun coming out from Glad. He does drop the smite, does get instantly exhausted, blows the flash away from Ruby ADC, and he's just going to get run down and slowed down, but they turn into melee range, but it's just not enough. Seraphine picks up the kill, and the dragon is coming up in about a minute.
Really good
Oh,
sidestep
flash from the
there.
hook.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, this is not going to be enough.
Some real fancy feet there to dodge it, just didn't work. But it looks like we have Cherix coming up here to get another kill on Feathers and Fur.
Indeed, we do see the flash coming out there, trying to step away from the Paranoia, but it's just not going to be enough. Now he can't even flash over the wall, and he's just going to get run down, it seems like. Another kill going over to Cherix.
Which is good. Keeping that split pusher down is what you want. Any type of gold influx is also good. Looking at the difference, it's pretty similar, but they're just transitioning it straight into that Rift Herald, knowing it would be a 4v5 if anything.
Yeah, they got accelerated somehow, but Vladimir coming out from the flank, coming up river. and forcing Senna to stay. The cask unable to land. Nice pull coming up from Vandal. He does get the ignite dropped on him, and he pops ultimate for himself. Going to take the 1v1 over to Gragas. Does get chonked out, but he is able to stay alive relatively healthily. Senna ulti comes out, but it does get secured by Glada there.
Yeah, what I don't think a lot of people know is that the Senna ult doesn't actually deal damage to monsters and minions.
Yep.
So that it was really curious to see that there.
Yeah, flash attempt trying to get on top of CS Aphelios, but I don't think Glada is aware that he's just way too tanky at the moment. And now the Varus able to land the ultimate onto Gragas, but he's able to flash out. The hostile takeover just not enough. And now he steps right into the Nocturne, gets the fear off, but Ronaldo right next to him, able to stave off the ensuing fight after the fact.
Yeah, Charek saw that the ability was popped and needed
flash
to do.
forward. Doesn't get quite a bit of damage onto Seraphine there. Blows the flash for himself as well as the heal, but no kill there.
Yeah, they burn both those summoners. Really important. They won't have them for the next fight, and curious to see where that's gonna be. They need to start opening this map up somewhere, but it looks like that Hecklers, they're gonna focus here in the bot and try and do something with it as they're putting Vandal there. As he's been able to just run over this mid lane, probably gonna do it again in the bot. He smartly staying away from top because that's where Rocket's been putting their focus in.
Quite a bit of focus, and you can already see if you look down at the mini-map, Sherix is already on the top side of the map once again. Baron gonna be coming up in a bit, so just already trying to keep eyes on there. Already going for an invade as well. And Feathers and First just kind of has to sit there and take it. He does have the benefit of having Hull Breaker, so maybe he can turn something around, but...
Yeah, but he's playing against Hard Steel Senna, so anytime that he gets close to do what he wants to do, Senna's just building up that stack so he can take souls and take health back, and as long as he keeps stacking it with Grasp, you're going to have a really, really big Senna to deal a lot of damage through. And without any type of answer, I don't think you're going to be able to do much.
Oh, Nocturne casting his ultimate, goes in on top of 3 people. Seraphine and the Ash Arrow and the Senna ulti all converge at once, and they are able to inevitably get the kill onto Renata. That was quite a number of ultimates used up, and they were able to at least get something for their troubles. All the while, Vandal in the bot lane does get another tower.
Yeah, that was really good. Merciful Crow put out his W on somebody else and didn't have it for him, and that's where they started to put their focus in as soon as the fight happened. Looks like they're trying to open up mid map here with the Rift Herald. They burned the Varus Flash.
I think
Maybe they might get two. Let's see if they can get a second charge out of this with that advantage they have.
They might be able to. The smite does come out as well as the fear from the Nocturne. Do you see that the Rift Herald's extremely low? Goes for the swipe, probably isn't going to get a second charge, but it's the first tower for the side of Rocketfellas there on the board, and they are able to grab the mid lane and even out this gold lead.
Yeah,
the prompts of them.
I'm really liking this adaptation from the first game. Going into it, playing a more, we're gonna play a skirmish team. We're gonna try and fight. And as you can see, ever since that first team fight that didn't go their way, they haven't grouped up since. They've been going for picks, going for what they need to do, but everything they can do to avoid a full 4v4 or 4v5 is what they're going for.
Yeah, speaking of which, looking over at items, a lot of key item breakpoints have just started to come online, and we're getting close. Speaking of which, Vladimir looking for an engage here as well as Glada. They're trying to assassinate Messiah. Messiah with no flash available to him. Doesn't seem like he has much left in this world. Renata W gives him the extra MS, and that's going to be a kill going over to the Hecklers. Oh, and now that I'm looking at Senna here, check on the souls. 72 souls at 22 minutes, and he has finished his second item. He has Black Cleaver at his disposal.
Yeah, he's ready to start cleaving right through them. Super far ahead. We see.
Ooh. Ash Arrow looking for an engage. The Encore lands onto 3. Nocturne on top of all of them here. The hostile takeover does connect, but the Senna ulti from across the map secures the kill onto the Varus, and it has Glada running for the hills. do see Alawi in the team fight. Is he going to be able to deal that much damage to any of them? At the moment, it just isn't, as there's not a tower in the mid lane to protect them. Flash forward coming out from there, but they just aren't able to pick up the kill onto Cherix, and that's going to be a 4-0 for the side of the Rocketfellas as they turn their attention to the Dragon. Vladimir's still available, though. He does have ultimates, but he's getting run down by Messiah right now, unable to turn his attention towards the river.
Yeah, this is really good on the side of Rocketfellas. They're like, we don't want a team fight, especially we don't want to fight that Vladimir. With that Rabadon's extremely strong, able to basically win the team fight 1v5 if you really wanted to. So the fact that Messiah was able to keep him away from the tower, while Philios topside was able to
Ooh.
just go for it.
Once another fight, Ignite gets dropped down on Evangel. Nice pull, able to dodge out the explosive cast ultimate here. Flashes the Seraphine root, but to no avail. He doesn't really get much else out of that.
Yeah, and it's a really weird flash to go for, especially since he had his ult burning and it was able to heal. But every time I see Vladimir use his pool, it's always to avoid damage as an engage, but it's normally just Messiah trying to 1v1 him. I honestly think he loses more health.
Ooh, another Nocturne ulti coming in pretty heavily. Ash Arrow does hit Varus, and that's going to be the Renata dying pretty quickly. Make it 2 kills going over to the Nocturne. And they are just putting on a clinic right now with the amount of kills they're able to pick up from across the map.
Yeah.
Oh, Viego looking in for another fight. He's able to stun up the Nocturne, but he does get feared. Vladimir, no flash available to him to continue to follow up, but it just seems as though that the Rocketfellas are able to pull off a lot of plays and get a lot of picks, especially once they realize that they have the numbers advantage.
Yeah, and really good engage going for so far. Just doing everything they can. Glado trying to do anything to appeal for the Vladimir, but instead just offered up his life for free. And now with that, they're probably gonna try and push again to get this mid tower, this tier 2.
Yeah, they have quite a bit of range available to them. They're able to just barrel down this mid lane. Seraphine already is at her 1-item power spike, and there's only so much that the Hecklers are able to do right now, especially when they're at these numbers disadvantages across the map. And it kind of sucks to see where Vladimir is your most integral part of your comp right now, and oftentimes he's just sitting in side lane, getting gold for himself, and he's just not posing that much of a threat once they do decide to engage. Speaking of which, hostile takeover comes out. They are able to land the Varus ultimate onto this Ashe, but Seraphine still able to pick up the kill into the Renata. Nocturne goes in onto the Vladimir, but he isn't able to fall down. Flash forward, Senna picks up the kill into him. Stopwatch coming out from the Nocturne, and they are able to kill him just yet, but finally they are. Viego gets a reset. It forces the flash out of Seraphine. Flash forward coming out from him, but the spell shield is just not going to be enough, but he is able to use his takeover once again, and he isn't able to get onto the Senna. She is starting to scale like nobody's business.
Yep, CS Affiliate showing them that no matter what champion he's on, he is going to carry for his team. And right now, he's a beautiful showing on a non-traditional top lane pick. He's sitting at about 94 souls at 26 minutes, just getting into that hyper-scaling mode. And it looks like that they don't have an answer for him, especially since everyone has to blow all their peel to keep Cherix off of Brother Hedge.
Yeah, it is very awkward to say the least, where a lot of their tools are just having to be used on one person, and it does take them that long to kill him. All things considered, it also does benefit the fact that they did, I say they, I mean the Rocketfellas are able to pick up that first Mountain Dragon for themselves, or at least a Mountain Dragon for themselves. So just being that extra bit tankier gives Nocturne that wiggle room to be able to go in with almost seemingly reckless abandon and get away with it.
Absolutely, and what really kept that team fight from being turned around was an excellent use of his stopwatch. I'm really excited. He's really close to that GA 3rd item, and he should have it before the next team fight as Dragon spawns in a minute.
Definitely going to be on the lookout for that. A lot of the key members are getting past their item breakpoints. I mean, Senna 3 items deep, already has Rage Blade available to her. 3 items on the Nocturne as well as the GA, so once he goes in, he's going to be stalling out for quite a bit of time. And 3 items on that Vladimir. That's something to look out for. Definitely want to keep our eyes out on that. TP coming in from Malawi. She is level 15, so she's going to be a bit of a threat as well.
Yeah, what I'm really curious is as to why the Alawi is grouping with a Hullbreaker rush, but it looks like that they have to try and do anything to fight as a team, but I just don't see it
Indeed.
happening.
Oh, the Encore goes wide. They are able to land the W root onto her. Paranoia comes out, but they turn and focus on the Alawi. The cast disrupts the whole team. Senna Ultimate is able to pick up one, or at least spread them out, and that's going to be a 3-for-0 for the side of the Rocketfellas, as they just cower back and are not able to turn the fight around at all.
Yeah, that was a beautiful Gragas ult, completely putting the Hecklers on their side, unable to answer it once the team organization was different. And with those quick kills in Dragon, they're going straight over to the Baron to blow this lead wide open.
Yeah, if they're able to secure this Baron, this will blow it up wide open indeed. Even the Vladimir, who was as fed as he was, just unable to make any sort of a difference in that fight if the Rocketfellas are able to get the engage that they want. Senna already just throwing caution to the wind, invading solo, and is enough of a threat to this Viego that he doesn't want to take the fight. Also, what is interesting is just looking at the builds. I'm not a Viego one-trigger expert, but definitely going Triforce Black Cleaver is something that I don't see typically too often.
Yeah, I don't think I agree with that build either. I would have liked a Divine Sunderer with it as well. Anything to get that healing up, because you need to be able to answer the opposing team's healing as well.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting build to see. Nocturne ulti coming out once again from a mile away. Does get, in fact, get on top of Viego. Does blast Conan back over towards his team, but now he's going to be caught in between him and the Vladimir as well. See if we can get the kill on the Vladimir. It's just not going to happen. The rest of the team has followed up alongside him. Encore able to secure that. Hostile takeover goes wide, and that's a stun going on to the Renata. The W might give her a bit of time, but it's just nowhere near enough as there's no other kills. Flash forward for the R. Alawi trying to 1v1. Does get hit by the fleet. Pops the GA onto the Nocturne. They might need to focus him in a second. WQ coming up from the bear. Shutdown goes over to the Alawi. Vladimir trying to flank, but he's just not able to pick up any more kills. Instantly killed. And that is a decisive fight going over to the side of the Rocketfellas. But there is a bit of hope as they were able to get the GA off of Nocturne and kill him as well.
Yeah, that was as good as it could have gone for the Hecklers. But the fact that Alawi got the kill means that they're going to deny the spike from their other carries. Just that with that Hullbreaker in tow and they're playing for the fight, team fight, it's just not going to be good. But the 3 items, here we go. We see the engage.
Tavares ulti does connect onto the Gragas. Stopwatch comes out from him. Stunned Viego uses the Heartbreaker, gets the possession, and we do see the Shurelius come out, flash forward, and Heartbreaker once again, are they able to land the stun? He isn't able to connect onto Seraphine, and he might just get slowed down to death. The W does give him a bit of time, doesn't get popped, and he's going to be running for the hills. Is spotted on vision, is going deeper into the river, and Nocturne does have ultimate available of him. He's got to get out of there. Senna nearly sniping him out, and he is just heading for the hills.
Yeah, he knows he can't stay there in any elongated fight, especially since they have the ability to just get on him from almost any point in the map at this point, with the fact that Cherek's ult's got a really short cooldown. Then you see Cherek's roaming through, supporting that Seraphine, trying to get that blue buff, but also just looking for any pick he can get in this bot side jungle as Gladys starts walking in.
Yeah, we do see Cherek's just taking any sort of jungle camps that he can. Seraphine right behind him, extremely low, however, but still hovering around just to provide as much support as possible to essentially their most fed member of the team.
Yeah, it looks like Glado might be going for a Bloodthirster, but
Does get hit by the fear. Nocturne tries to look for something, but Renato right behind Viego stops that, engages that in its tracks.
But the Cherix has got his Executioner's Blade, and Seraphine's got the Oblivion Orb, so they're ready to negate any type of healing on the side of the Hecklers.
For sure. Speaking of which, I mean, there is quite a bit of healing on the side of the Rocketfellas thanks to that Seraphine and even the Senna as well. Can't deny the fact that Ash even has Shield Bow and Bork as well. Oh, the tether does connect. They do deal quite a bit of damage to it. Center root does drop, but they do not have the mid wave advantageous to them. It is crashing into their base, and we might see a fight come into play out here in just a sec. Do see the hostile takeover come through and delay, but the Encore lands onto 3, if not 4. Seraphine does get dropped. Vladimir able to pick up kills onto 2, and the possession does come through. Are they able to take this fight any further? The Gragas does get hooked up, and he does get killed, and pings are coming down. They might be turning towards that dragon.
That was an excellent team fight and engage on the side of Hecklers, not giving up, trying to go for it. And the fact that they were able to get so much off of it was really good. Getting this soul point for themselves, making this game last a little bit longer. But we'll still see what happens. Like Aphelios is still pushing, undying in this game, sitting at least 120 stacks already here at 34 minutes.
Yeah, it's definitely a sight to see this Senna get as fed as she is. Unable to secure the red buff, does get smited up by the Viego, and he might look to chase here. He's getting a couple autos out. He does land the stun even after he gets rooted. The Renato W gives him the movement speed, forces the flash out of him. Heartbreaker shut down. 850 gold plus going over to that Viego. And the Baron is coming up relatively soon. And the death timers are pretty long as it is. We're 34 minutes deep.
Yep, Filio, sorry for that caster curse, but you shouldn't have been so far out there without vision. What Hecklers needs to do at this point is set up that vision, create that line, make sure that they can secure this Baron before Aphelios can TP back in and deal all that damage. Because in the 5v5s, they're not really winning, and they have a lot of damage on the side of Rocket. So I gotta try for anything at this point, but hopefully they don't get picked out.
Oh, the Nocturne going way deep. He focuses the Varus. Varus might have been kiting a bit too far away from his team. And it does land. We do see the Encore connects onto 3, do the extension, and the hostile takeover just comes out way too late. Double kill going over to the Nocturne, and this might be a sweep up as the Vladimir comes in late. Senna ulti coming out from base, forces a stopwatch, but he's got nowhere to go. That is a dead Vladimir in that area. Well, might be the end of the game with the TP coming out from the Senna. And that is one heck of a turnaround coming out from the Rocketfellas. They're going to take this one to game 3.
Yeah, absolute fantastic read. Definitely were both hesitant about how they were going to accomplish this task before them with these non-traditional picks, but they were able to do it. They have an answer, and if I'm on the Heckler side, now I'm a little worried because traditional bans are going to work against them, so they got to have some sort of answer to go for. And Messiah not really winning there at all at any point in the game, but each one of those team fights, incredible ults to disrupt the entire backline of the Hecklers on Gragas.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just need that extra layer of disruption, and to their credit, the Rocketfellas had a comp in mind and they executed on it. It definitely was interesting to see how that all played out in the Senate top lane into the Alawi. Seems as though it's a pretty solid pick, all things considered. But now we have to see. They don't have side selection this time. So we're going to see if that has any factor to do with it. Maybe they are blue side warriors, maybe they're not. Or maybe they just got a free one. Maybe it's just having that novelty of not noticing or not seeing a draft play out the way it does, and then maybe it just doesn't work a second time. We'll have to find out and see, because with that win, this is going to take us to game 3. So you're going to be taking a short break, and we'll be right back once both these teams are ready to take it to the final game of this best of 3 series. And so, yeah, don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back, everyone, as we are getting into this game three of this best of three series between the Rocketfellas and Conduit Hecklers. It's been a long series, to say the least. We're already gone through quite a bit of innovation from the first game, where we saw some impressive Sejuani gameplay, some impressive ganking coming out from the Hecklers, and then the second game that we just came out from, Senna top lane and Seraphine mid. I mean, not Seraphine mid, Gragas mid, and then Seraphine Ashe bot lane. Uh, Also rather impressive with how they closed that game out. But now we're 1-1 and we're in the draft, and already quite a number of bans coming out from both teams.
Yeah. So looking at it, they got rid of that Sejuani off of Heckler side, but I really think they should have went with the ASOL ban. And here we go, that first round priority pick. And if it's anything like that game one, but the insta lock Tristana is the answer, and it can go I can go into the mid, which is a really good answer into it, and it is. I'm liking this immediate change on the side. Rockefellers, they're immediately going like, we see what you're gonna do. We have an answer for it, and we're gonna show you that we're here to stay, and we're gonna be a contender. And
I mean, definitely seems to be the case. They're literally just now we strayed from the we're picking Seraphine and Ashe and Senna and like all these like champions that are like on the like on meta but like barely, and then now we're just like we're picking every top pick in this role. Like we're picking Soul mid, we're picking Tristana mid, we're picking Zaya 80 carry, we're picking Caitlyn 80 carry. It's just like you're just looking at any tier list and you're just copy and pasting at this point.
yeah, and honestly, I'm here for it. I'm ready to watch a very intricate and very fun team fighting games, making sure that they're going for it. They're going lane bully bot side heavy with the hecklers, and I'm hoping they go Rakan here. It just has a really good answer, and they're able to get that engage. I really think that quick charm into a knockup on the ASOL will keep them from doing it. But Vi does the same thing realistically, and you're not able to get away from her with that unstoppable charge.
Yeah, it's really good. It's definitely one of the weaknesses of Caitlyn is that she does have a lot of that early game pressure, but does pretty poorly on champions like Zac and Vi that can just jump in on top of her if not given enough peel. And at least with Vi, it's point and click. So if you're in the range, there's nowhere else for you to go.
Yeah, I'm here to see what they're doing. They're just making sure Feathers is not on something he can affect the game with, and it showed true for both games. And what's really good about the Heckler side is that uh, Crow is no longer in the game at support, and it's back to Yipsy.
Mhm.
So we'll see him on the Lux instead, and see what difference it makes here in the bot lane.
Without a doubt, we do see more top bands coming out in the second round. It's been pretty consistent throughout this whole series that after first phase of bands, it's just primarily top lane getting nipped at the bud, it seems like.
Yeah, if the Hecklers here ban the Camille or Mordekaiser, I'm kind of thinking that they might be trying to go for a Cassante top.
It might be an angle. It could also just be they don't want to give a free AP top angle, considering they do have the guaranteed Tristana in the mid lane. At least I would think. Uh, you never know, considering you draft Senna early in a draft and it becomes a top laner. So
Yeah, yeah. The way that Aphelios played, we don't know where that Tristana is going, and that's for sure. Uh, but I mean, there are other AP angles that you can go on the top side. You can even go as far as playing Yone and having that mixed damage. But uh, you have the Gragas available still, the Kennen available, the Cho'Gath.
mhm.
If he was feeling spicy, a Kali top.
True. There's definitely angles to be thought about there. And we do see the last couple picks come in. We do see Lulu paired up as the ADC for Zaya, definitely leaning more towards the scaling and allowing Zaya to hyper carry as the game progresses, but might be a bit of a tough lane into Kate Lux, as Lulu's not very much known for matching up in poke range. And then the Hecklers locking in the Urgot Wukong top side of the map. Definitely AD focused and skirmish heavy. Uh, Definitely gonna be interesting to see how that turns out.
Yeah, Hecklers are definitely looking to team fight. They don't want to split like they did again last game. Any answer that they have at this point. But with the Xayah Lulu definitely not winning anything, but the Lulu able to make that Tristana a hyper carry and that Kale,
Ooh.
if they can scale, get her to 16, I would have to give it to the Rocketfellas.
Ooh, man, it really is an interesting draft. I mean, a lot of it's pretty compelling. Like you got the Acel in the mid lane, and now we're just playing at a battle of the two scalers at this point. To heck with whatever happens in the early game. It really just is dependent on which champion is able to comfortably get to their spikes sooner. I mean, if Acel is able to get to like finish his row or get to 2 or 3 items, I think it might be almost irrelevant to what Kale does. But we'll have to see. It's been a minute since I've personally seen Kale in competitive.
Yeah, that is true, but I've never seen a top lane center in comp either, and here we are pleasantly surprised by what CS Affiliates can do. I highly suspect that Rocket is definitely going to make that Vi focus top side, especially early game, to get that kill safely through that early game where she is super weak. Anything else after that? I believe that Tristana is a really good answer into the Aurelion Soul. You're able to get in and out as long as you time the explosive charge correctly.
Hmm.
And the Lulu will be able to peel for the Xayah as long as they're not getting caught by those Lux Qs, no problem. Um, but on the side of Hecklers, like you have that all in potential, and you if as long as you're able to land the Urgot ultimate, you have an execute that could totally change the tide of a team fight.
Without a doubt. I mean, it really is. I honestly think this game is very much dependent on what both of these junglers bring to the table. Because Kate Lux on its own should have the advantage into Xayah Lulu just outright. So it's going to be on Vi to be able to make any sort of a difference, whether or not they come out of this lane alive. And the same goes for Wukong here. I feel like it's on to him to put this pressure on this Kale and make sure that she doesn't just sit comfortably in that lane. Because without a doubt, they win that 2v2 for the Hecklers. They win that 2v2 up in the top lane. And so because of kind of interactions, I'd say, I feel like a lot of this game is just depend on how the junglers perform or how they outperform each other.
Yeah, in game one you saw Glada run away with it. In game two you saw Jarix. So we'll definitely see which one is going to get ahead here. And then, and if they're both equally matched, then this is going to be one spicy game.
For sure. I mean, now that we're going through and see where everyone's going, I'm very much interested in your opinion as to who do you think is going to win this one? Win the whole series at this point? What's your prediction after you're seeing both of these teams?
I am going. I'm going to have to say Hecklers. The Aurelion Soul and what Vandra was able to do in game one was just so dominating that I feel like that is his speciality. And because he wasn't able to do it in game two,
Hmm.
he's going to try and show off his best here. And but they do have the weak side top laner, so we'll see if they're able to manage and keep Feathers and Fur from drowning. But I'm going to have to give it to Hecklers.
It's definitely interesting, and for the longest time, I'm leaning towards Hecklers as well. But I'm gonna give it to the Rocketfellas just because if this Kale gets fed, maybe, and they do have the agency. I mean, you have Tristana Vi, you have the tools to try to shut down this Acel. It really is up on Sheriffs to like put the pedal to the metal and just shut down the lanes that are going to be scaling the hardest for them. So that's where I stand on it at least. I'm
Yeah,
ready. I'm ready for it.
I can see your point, and I would have to agree if the Kale does get to that late game, she's definitely gonna do good. But until then, like it's definitely gonna be Heckler's game to lose. They're almost all AD heavy on the side of Rocket, and the Wukong does have increased armor resistance. And that Urgot, as long as he's tanky, they're not going to do any damage to him until Kale's able to hit 16 and deal true damage.
Without a doubt. Definitely a lot of moving parts to these comps, a lot of things to factor in. So with that, the only thing left to do is to see how it all plays out on the Rift. So with that, we're going to be taking our final break of the night as we go into Game 3 of this best of 3 series between the Hecklers and the Rocketfellas. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be back for the third and final game of the series. All right, welcome back, everybody, as we get into this third and final game of this best of 3 series between the Conduit Hecklers and the Rocketfellas. Going in for a 5-point start, nothing too crazy other than a couple pings getting dropped onto the mid lane as Glada shows his face.
Yeah, and we can see the difference. We see that Ruby is opting into that ghost, trying to be more carry centric here, and to avoid any type of engage that normally happens. I think he recognized that the Ace was able to get him, even with that heal. So now he any type of mobility to answer, but
Oh, a bit of poke coming out there onto the Slux, losing quite a bit of HP in the process.
yep. First bit of gold onto that Lulu with that spell thieves. So Lux is going to come back at a little bit of a disadvantage, but the amount of range and poke that's going to happen between the Lux Caitlyn is more than going to be make up for that early bit that just happened there. Um, But at least Rocketfellas can say that they've had the gold lead for the longest part of this game so far.
They can get their lead wherever they need. I mean, right now you can pretty much take what you can get, especially considering the lane matchup that they're going into. Every bit of HP is worth.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We see them both starting bot side. That means it looks like they're both going to prioritize that top side of the map here, which is exactly what you want, since the Hecklers are definitely going to build the prio on their own, and then that the Rocketfellas are just there to survive until later into the game, where the Tristana and Kale can finally do the things where they don't need any other.
For sure, we do see quite a bit of damage coming out already from this bot lane. Already forced a potion out of Lulu here. Ooh,
Yeah, trading that potion onto the Lux as well, but now that Xayah Lulu is underneath their tower, the Caitlyn's able to free farm there, and it looks like both junglers are going to meet ganking it mid here.
yeah, near the nose, the Wukong goes in, jumps straight on top of him as he realizes Vi's right there, double flash forward, and that's going to be Glada dying, giving first blood over to Cherix, and they force the flash out of Vandrel as well. Really solid execution coming over here from the mid-jungle duo of the Rocketfellas.
Absolutely, really good. They burn all summoners there in the mid lane though, but extremely good read, able to be there immediately, was like able to track Glada's entire positioning. I do believe Glada every game has straight done 3 camps ganked mid. So this game Cherix is ready and able to answer it.
Yeah, primed and ready, and they take advantage of it. Once again, even going up into the top lane looking for any sort of a play gets extremely low, but with Glada not having flash available to him, they're not really going to be doing much. But nice combo coming out there from the Kate Lux, another auto, but it's just not enough. The chase continues, and Glada is able to catch up to Cherix there and evens out the kill score between the two of them.
Yep, really good for Urgot to land his Q and slow him down a couple of times, and able to do what they need to do. And they were forcing the bot side to burn the heal, double able to land the Lux binding into the Caitlyn trap, Caitlyn net, into both those auto attacks, and that heal definitely would have died. Really good, able to create that priority by yourself, get rid of that Lux, and get a good early recall off.
Indeed. Oh, another engage coming out from Tristana here. Messiah's just getting a bit of damage onto Asol, trying to zone him off the wave, but not really going to get much of anything out of that except for a bit of more damage onto his health bar.
Yeah, like we were talking about in draft, it's a really good pick into the Aurelion Soul, just able to do all that burst damage. If you try to out-sustain the Aurelion Soul, you're going to lose. But as long as you're able to create this early game advantage by dealing all that damage and just free farming, getting to your item spikes, you're going to keep the Aurelion Soul from gaining a lead. And hopefully as they transition into their first team fight, they don't give Aurelion Soul 3 kills again.
True. If Aurelion gets accelerated, it's going to put them in a lot worse of a position because then it's going to be onto this Kale to try to match him up in terms of the scaling aspect of it. But going to have to keep our eyes peeled for that. Kale, even though she is behind, it's not nearly as bad as other situations. Ooh, and a nice base cancel coming out from CS Aphelios there.
Yeah, really good to stall it out. Able to basically deny that early backing, but the TP's up, going to answer, and maybe Cherix gets something out of it as soon as he gets back up to the top side because he's hovering there a really long time.
He is. And they already pinged that he was there. Feathers and Fur did ping that he crossed over the try bush that was in fact warded, so there was already a call made to go over to this Infernal Dragon. But it is going to be a 3 for 3. Nice sidestep dodge coming out from Ruby ADC. Doesn't get hit by the binding, and he doesn't have cleanse available to him either. They're going to try to zone them off. They are at a man advantage now, and it forces the side of the Hecklers away from this dragon. Wukong comes in, and he is able to get the steal. The feather pull comes out, and it secures the kill onto him, but that is, in fact, the first dragon going over the way of the Hecklers.
That was really good for Hecklers. The fact that
Ooh,
they were able to get
away.
the steal and that Lulu got the kill. Really good. You couldn't have asked for like a better trade right there.
Certainly could not have. I mean, Lulu having that gold is not going to matter in the slightest in the early game, especially with how Caitlyn Lux play. They're not going to be taking any extended fights anytime soon. It's just going to be pick, and you play off of that, and we'll see how that converts into anything, because right now having that dragon being able to stack it up and kind of give yourself more time for this Ace Soul to scale is always good in their books.
Yeah, what's absolutely surprising for me right now is to see that the Caitlyn Lux duo actually being behind there in terms of CS.
Mm-hmm.
But we see the Wukong coming in for that gank on the.
Oh. Yeah, Wukong goes over for Xayah, does build a flash, and Lulu able to make it out alive, having to blow double thumbs at that, but considering she got hit by a Lux Binding at the start of that skirmish, her making it out alive is seems pretty illegal.
Yeah, I don't know what the comms were like in there, but they definitely should have been prioritizing the marked and stun target. Doesn't seem to be the case, so Cherix is coming down here, level 6, ready to assault and battery these people.
Try to predict where they were if you were looking down at the mini map. He queued over into the bush, but Caitlyn was to his left. Brother Hedge able to stay alive this time at least and gets away and bases safely. Oh, stun comes out from the ultimate and flash on from the Urgot. Flash coming out in response. The Urgot ultimate does connect. Flash forward from the Wukong, and that's going to be a kill secured by Feathers and Fur. Only so much you can do as Messiah does get clipped.
Absolute great roam from Feathers and Fur, not hesitating to use his flash to secure that kill. That's exactly what Hecklers need to do to stay ahead in this game. Like, you need Vandrel on the Aurelion Soul to scale, and keeping Messiah from, like, harassing him under tower is definitely the way to do it. And then Wukong just now hitting level 6 with that ultimate back up. We're probably going to see some more early game, some more team fights coming in.
Yeah, Wukong is going to want to group up, get as much value out of that Cyclone as possible. So, I was going to keep a lookout on for that. But as far as the game goes overall, 2 for 2 in terms of kills, and the gold lead is practically dead even. Definitely brings up the question as who we think is going to be more effective earlier on in the game, considering both teams have relatively strong scaling champions.
Well, the later this game goes, the better it is for the Hecklers. They had that Infernal Dragon, so throughout the rest of the game, they're going to get 6% to their 80 and AP. Right now, it means nothing, but the longer it goes, the better it's going to be. So, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what other dragon is going
Binding
to
does
be for
land
the
as
final.
well as the trap. EQ does connect, and Xayah trying to do any sort of fight back, but just getting hit away from a range. And now Wukong going up towards Vi. They do see that they have rotated for this Rift Scuttle. It is getting rather low. Wukong already starting the fight onto the Vi. Vi unable to turn around. Cyclone cancels out the Q. Unstoppable coming up from the Kale. They're trying to focus down the Wukong. The Ace ulti gets dropped, but the Urgot able to secure the kill onto the Kale on the side. Aesol picks up the kill onto Vi and forces Messiah away from the Rift Herald, and it seems like it's going to be as good as theirs. EQ plus the auto, and Brother Hedge picks up the kill onto Ruby ADC down in the bot lane, as well as another plate for themselves.
Yeah, Ruby dying for free there, had his ultimate up, could have able to dodge it. Definitely showing the power of the Caitlyn Lux down there. And then the fact that most of the Cherix focusing the Wukong clone into that Rift Herald pit definitely swung the lead into the Heckler side. It's really good to see Feathers and Fur able to outplay Aphelios, who doesn't look as comfortable onto that Kale that he has been on the first 2 games.
Definitely is not. I mean, he already has to deal with Urgot being ahead. He only died once, but Urgot does have another kill as well as 2 assists to his name. Down in the bot lane, we weren't able to see, but Please Nerf Victini did in fact have to use his ultimate to stay alive and is forced to base. Probably got caught out by a stray binding that we just weren't able to see. Another engage in the mid lane coming out from Messiah, only able to get a couple autos in onto Vandrel, but it's not really going to pressure him off too much.
Yeah, and it looks like Wukong's going for that dragon right now, uncontested, and it doesn't look like the they know any better. They just now they do. They see what's going on.
Oh, Vi going in, chunking out Lux for about half HP. Lux does not have ultimate available. Vi decides to go in for the assault and battery, connects onto Caitlyn, but unable to secure the kill. Nice Q over the wall. Xayah continuing to go forward, but the E doesn't get anything. It just goes wide as the team splits in opposite directions, and that dragon should be as good as theirs.
Yep, Xayah had no other options to go anywhere due to that trap line. And the same reason why Cherix had to use his Q to go the long way through the to the wall. Able to get that dragon scot-free.
Oh, nice flash coming out from Aphelios in the top lane here.
Yeah, Feathers and Fur just asserting his dominance on Urgot. It looks super comfortable, super well played onto this champion, whereas Aphelios definitely opposite reaction on that Kale. Doing everything he can to survive.
Yeah, I mean, Kale, like, for all it's worth, being only about 15 CS down in a lane is pretty good, all things considered. It's just the downside. It's like, okay, this Urgot's picked up kills here and there, and he can assert quite a bit of pressure on you now. But it's definitely tough when you look at the rest of the map and see that you're 2 dragons down.
Yeah, that is true. That's gotta weigh heavy, especially on Aphelios, since the name of the game for him is the scale until he can get there. Is the Cassidon power spike. Gotta get to 16. Gotta get to 16. Able to finish that first item, so he's gonna be able to deal some damage. He did opt in for the early Nashers to give his team that AP that they need, but if he's up there doing things by himself, he's not gonna be able to affect team fights.
Oh, Xayah trying to walk in and instantly gets blown up. No room to work with at all. Tries to step in, instantly gets hit by the E. Wukong hops over the wall, does get spotted out by the Lulu. Lux ultimate comes in. Extra speed from the Cyclone gets him in range, and that's going to be 2 more kills going over to the way of the Hecklers. Uh-oh. The Asol coming in. Does have the Urgot behind him. Might look for a kill on Tristana. Doesn't have the jump. Forces the flash out of her. And nice ultimate coming out from Tristana. Getting the knockback. Hits the blast going in. It does seem like Glada is not going to be able to get there. And the Urgot ulti as well. They were throwing everything in the kitchen sink over to Messiah. And they just were not able to lock him down.
That's really good, all things considered. Messiah saw an angle to go for a solo kill. And right as he did it, Feathers and Fur right for the counter gank. Extremely good that it was able to get out of there.
Vi coming in, assault and battery does connect onto the Vi, and she is able to pick up the shutdown onto this Caitlyn. 600 gold going over to the way of their jungler. Flashing over the binding, goes straight for the Lux, and it might be a bit too far. Didn't expect the Wukong being in that bush, and that is 1-for-1, all things considered. Do see Asol trying to pump out some damage, but does get the Ignite dropped onto him. Wukong walks in onto the Tristana. It does get polymorphed, and Triss able to sidestep the binding, but nearly gets blown up from the ER combo from this Lux. Yipsy nearly picking up the kill for himself. Wukong caught between Xayah and Lulu, but nowhere else to go. Flash forward from the Xayah, but she's just not able to get in range of this Wukong. A bit indecisive with how they wanted to play that fight out, and it cost them a life and no kill to show for it.
It looks like Frustrating's getting the better of the Rocketfellas there with some desperation plays. Kind of reminiscent of how game 1 went, but Aphelios just hit level 11. Definitely getting up to the point where scaling. As long as he's being left alone on his island, he's going to get to 16 before this game is over, and hopefully he can affect it as long as his teammates can stem the bleeding.
It really is all up to Aphelios, CS Aphelios at this point. Cherix as well, considering he has a majority of his team's gold in his back pocket. But definitely not the way you wanted the game to pan out, to put all the weight of the game on the shoulders of your top laner here, considering you had the Tristana counter pick in the mid lane as well. Oh, Lux binding, hitting the Lulu, and the ulti forced out of her, able to flash out just in time, but now Kale, 3 people in her lane, count 4 if you consider her teammate, and that's another knock-up, and that'll seal her fate. Nowhere else to go. Second death of the game, but only so much you can do when all these ultimates are dropped on top of you.
Yeah, it looks like that they don't have an answer to all this aggression they're getting, and Hecklers are just starting to run away with it, like almost like game 2 never happened.
Certainly the case. Do have to wonder if the draft played a even bigger part in the second game than they had hoped. Where when they picked something more standard, having the Vi and the Tristana and the Zaya and the Lulu, does seem to be like they're not getting as nearly as big of a lead as they got before. Where in the meantime, a bit of a fight happening. Tristana just trying to force her way through Vandrel, and he just eats up all of it. Don't
Yeah,
think you're gonna beat a 4-stacked Rod of Ages Asol with no Mythic by your side, and definitely learn that.
yeah, I would definitely say draft had a big part. You can see that Hecklers want the Aphelios, need the Aphelios, and with it, it doesn't matter what the game plan is for whatever team they play against. They they are going to use it and win with it, no matter what other supporting champion cast that they have in the other lanes. And that is why the Hecklers are at the top of their division.
Yeah, I mean the Hecklers have been putting in work. I mean the first game was pretty decisive. Second game definitely caught them off guard draft-wise, to say the least. But it seems as though when they are playing some standard League of Legends, if there's any definition for that, or just playing the champions that are more prominent in the meta, they are definitely showing up that they have the upper hand with this.
Yeah,
But yeah.
absolutely.
But yeah, in the meantime, we do see Asol trying to get some damage out in the bot lane onto this Kale, unable to do so. But we do see just a bit of farming coming out here from this Vi. Cherik's able to keep up pace and actually out level Glada, considering all the fights that have been happening. But right now it seems like the name of the game for the side of Rocketfellas is just get as much of your jungles and your camps as possible and just start delaying for this Kale. Let her get as much CS as possible and let her scale into the game.
Yeah, they're like Rocketfellas is doing good, all things considered, right? They're still farming very well, and they're able to do what they need to do. If they just weren't taking all these bad fights and trying to instigate everything, then they would be ahead.
Oh, good escape coming out from Cherix here. Able to Q over the wall. Flash forward coming out from Glada. Assault and Battery keeps them under the tower, and that's going to be a shutdown going over to the Vi. Forced to flash away from the Urgot knockup, but pretty impactful shutdown that they just got there.
Yeah, it was really good that the assault battery was kept them locked in, got those extra turret hits off, but I would have really liked to see it go onto the Tristana and not the Vi. Anything to get her ahead further, but
Nowhere else for CS Aphelios to go. Doesn't even want to bother using his divine intervention there to keep himself alive. Doesn't want to use the ultimate at all. He just accepts his fate. And that's going to be a third kill going over to the Asol.
I would have. If I were Aphelios, I probably would have used it on myself and then try to TP out and just prevent another kill going to the to the Aurelion Soul.
Definitely would have been tough, to say the least. But for right now, he's in a decent spot. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Nice dodge coming out there from Messiah. Uses the Gale Force to get further and further away. Aurelion Soul ultimate just shockwaving across the rift. Vi unable to land the Q, but Asol just hopping over the wall and picks up the kill onto Zaya. Gale here in the fight, trying to kite back and provide as much DPS as possible, is throwing their damage onto the Wukong, but still unable to get a kill. Never mind. Picks up the kill on the Wukong, steps back up for little reason at all, and now nice polymorph coming out from Pleaser Victini, but he doesn't have long for this world as the double flash secures his fate. And Lethal Tempo is just continuously proccing on Brother Hedge. Vandrel falls up behind them, and that's going to be 4 kills going over the way of the Hecklers here as the Rift Herald has crashed into the base, and they can take the bottom inhib pretty much uncontested.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to get this inhib for free. Probably that mid lane turret as well. And then just running away with it, I fully expect him to go into the Baron anytime here soon. As long as they don't just give away any kills for free.
Ooh. The QER coming out from the Lux, forcing the ultimate out of Ruby ADC and forcing him to recall. Cherek's trying to take the fight over to Feathers and Fur, but it's just not going to happen. But Assault and Battery forces the situation here as he does have Tristana to follow up behind him. W in from there, but eats the binding. Trap might come out, but he's just perma-rooted. Brother Hedge picks up the kill onto Trist, but Cherek's unable to get on top of him to secure the kill. Flash coming out. Ophelio's able to pick up the kill, but he's got no much time left to live. Asol with the TP gets away from Aurelian for a bit more time, but he's just not able to stay away for long enough. 4 for 1.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all she wrote here in this game. They desperation once again getting the better of Rocketfellas, just trying to focus that super tank Urgot.
Flash forward on the Q, gets the predictive binding, make it an ace. The inhib is down, and this very well might be the game if they're able to push the issue here. They got waves, they got Nexus towers in front of them. Tristana trying to wave clear as much as she can. Wukong jumping on top of the Lulu. She does get sniped up by the Got the first hit. The Nexus Tower falls. Asol's trying to stave them off as long as possible. Kale picks up the kill. Divine Intervention keeps them alive, and that makes it 2 kills, 2 shutdowns going over to her. The second Nexus Tower drops. Urgot takes it out, forcing Tristana away, but now he's just getting perma-focused by that Kale. Make it 3 kills for her, and that's going to be a 5-kill Kale. But the Nexus Towers are all but gone.
Season 3 of The Mandalorian is here. Aphelios getting all those shutdowns. It's definitely good to see them fight back and not give up. What was 10K is now only down to 8, but even still, the Kale just got a giant influx of gold and is definitely ready to team fight. And if they're able to prevent them from getting the soul right here, then this game is definitely not over yet.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of... That gives them a little bit of breathing room to work with here. Not the best scenario, but Kale is creeping up to that 3-item break point. She is going to be getting her Rabadons. At least that's what she's building to. She is not level 16 yet, which would be huge, but... I mean, with this Baron being taken and melted by this Aurelian soul, you gotta hope that they can find a way to delay this game any later.
Yeah, as long as she can get to 16, she's going to be able to affect the team fights a lot better. But even still, the bot lane's 2-level differences between the teams, and that Asol is 16, and that's where the giant lead lies on this term of Hecklers. And here they are. It looks like they seem to be pushing in the top side, and that's really all they need to go.
That's going to be a dead Xayah, no questions asked. Wukong goes in, Xayah ulti coming out. Ooh, not able to land the ultimate, but the ace in the hole just barely keeps her alive. Never mind, I guess questions were asked about Xayah's health bar there. I would have just assumed that 5 members running at your ADC might not have been long for this world, but now he's forced to recall, take a base. Kale still level 14, unable to hit that really signature break point.
The Vi flank here.
Oh yeah, the Vi flank onto him. The Divine Intervention drops the damage out. Xayah trying to pump out as much damage as possible, but Asol is still yet to fall. The Feather Call just is not there. Tristana pumping out as much damage as possible. Uses the damage to try to get Urgot backed off, but they might have stepped in a bit too far. Kale able to pick up the kill on the Lux to make it 2, but Asol just still alive and kicking in lethal tempo. Caitlyn is just too much for them to bear, and that is going to be the Nexus falling, and that's going to be the game, and that's going to be the series going over to Conduit Hecklers.
Yeah, a really good game, really spicy. Rockefeller definitely didn't give it up there at the end. Made them fight for every inch, and it was good to see that they just didn't roll over. It's a shame they weren't able to do anything about it, but the fact that they've only been able to get on the Aurelian Soul once that entire game just shows how much priority that this team has into making that Aurelian Soul be the carry.
I mean, yeah, a lot of it hurts to say, but I feel like a lot of it is just that Aurelian Soul is putting in a lot of work. You also have to give it up to Glad on the Wukong. Definitely made some plays here and there across the map. And this time around in the K Lux lane, they were able to capitalize on it, unlike the first game where it definitely fell a little short. But this time around, definitely paid dividends for them. As comparatively, the bot lane for the Rocketfellas just wasn't able to get off the ground at all in this game.
Yeah, if you were able to see the damage charts, you see Lux sitting at the top, and Yeah, and then the bot lane for Rocketfellas, not even combined, were to do the next amount on any team. Just really unable to affect the team in the map as a whole, and ultimately what led to like the easy victory for the Hecklers.
Yeah, I mean, Hecklers just they showed up and they said that hey, we can play some solid League of Legends given certain champions, and they were able to execute on it. So with that, I mean, it was a pretty exciting series to say the least. One of the first few best of three series that I've actually had to cast that got in the 3 games. So very, very exciting. Shout out to both teams, Hecklers for getting this dub, and the the Rocketfellas for staying in it and giving us some very interesting drafts throughout the series. But with that, it has been getting a bit late, and it's been me, Swift Duelist, your play-by-play, and our boy Davimon doing the color casting for us tonight. And thanks again for sticking around and watching us over here at Risen Rampage. So we'll be back next week for some more games. But if you even want even more Risen action, be sure to check us out and see any other leagues that are going to be streaming. I believe tomorrow as well. So be on the lookout for that. But as a final word from here, thanks to all of you guys for sticking around. Thanks to our producer, Three Eyes, and we'll hope to see you guys again sometime soon.